I think it's very interesting that sometimes our children and families don't even know what we do. Sometimes they don't know what we do professionally. They don't know the organizations to which we belong in the community. And they have no idea of the strength and the fortitude that we move around with on a regular basis. I recently went to the funeral of a dear friend of mine. She was in her 90s at that point, but I had known her since I was a young woman. And at the funeral were two of her grandchildren. They were boys. Well, I guess you wouldn't call them boys because they were about 23 years old. So they were young men. And they just looked at me. And I said, "What's wrong with you?" They said, "Look at all these people." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Your grandmother was a great woman. But all these people, we didn't expect all these people to be here." I said, "Why wouldn't you expect all of these people to be here? Don't you know what your grandmother has done and what she meant to the people in the world globally and in the community?" Well, nobody ever told us anything. And then my grandmother would tell us all these things. I mean, we were little boys, and she would tell us to come over. She wanted to tell us about some cosmetology school she opened in Africa and how she traveled to Europe and Asia and why she went and all of that. We would listen, but we wouldn't pay any attention to that because we thought she was just talking. And the other grandson said, "Yeah, I thought she was just crazy. We just thought she was just crazy, just talking off the top of her head." And nobody ever told us that she was this great woman of influence. I said, "That's so sad that you don't know your grandmother and what she had accomplished." I tell you, there were wall-to-wall people in that church. People were walking up. I mean, dignitaries from around the globe came to her funeral, and they were just talking about her and what she had done, and students were talking about her and what she had done, and these grandsons stayed amazed. They just didn't know what to say. It's unfortunate that parents don't talk to children about what they are doing and, of course, what their grandparents have done. Because our children go and they look for projects and they are given assignments at school to find and research very important African American people in the community. When they have people right in their own families, but they don't think about it. Why is it that you don't think that you have greatness right in your own family? There are community leaders that have sacrificed their lives to strengthen just the community, but we don't think of them as someone to study, but we should. And we should talk to our children about leadership and let them know that leadership comes in all forms. The person doesn't have to be one that is on the New York Times bestseller in a big book. But he or she is someone in the community that's important to the community, that's making changes in the community, that's standing up for our people in the community. And these are great people. It was unfortunate that these two grandsons knew nothing of the importance of their grandmother until that day. One of the boys said to me, "I wish I had known about Grandmama. Just think, she probably could have taken us somewhere." Just think of all the people she knew. If we had only met some of those people with us. But of course, we were playing ball and we were in college and we were in school. We weren't thinking about our grandmother. She was just an old lady going to a meeting. She was always going to a meeting. She was always going to give a speech. She was always doing this and that. But we didn't know. I think we do our young people a disservice by not talking about the people in our own families. We don't have to go outside of the family to find greatness because it is in our own presence. That's why it is important for our children to meet our elders and talk to our elders, because you probably don't even know what your grandparents and your aunts and uncles did. Some of the things they have achieved, they don't talk about it. They don't talk about it in the family, but sometimes people out in the real world admire them and know more about them than the people in their families. And we've got to stop that. We've got to teach our children to listen to the elders in the family, and we do a disservice to them when we have family reunions and family gatherings and don't have an opportunity to have a recorder about, so that you can ask questions to your elderly, so that they can feel that what they have to say is important and they can drop little nuggets with you every now and then. And if you have those nuggets dropped each year, by the time they shuffle off this mortal coil, you will have a document that would have interesting information about someone in your own family. Let's don't play that too short. Let's teach our children about what's going on in our families, because we won't regret it, not one bit. So as you plan your year and you go around and talking to one another, talk to your children and let them know who's in your community, what's in your community. Don't wait until someone passes and all of these people go up to the podium with all of these lofty things to say about your loved one, and your own family knew nothing about it.